media aide to the former governor, Ismail Omokpendo, for more on this development. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 10.
The pleasure is mine. Good evening.
How's the Oyetola camp reacting to this development?
For us, we believe that being a people that believe in the law and the due process, we believe very strongly that the governor started on a very wrong footing. How do I mean? Most of the executive orders that were issued were just, for me, look more like an afterthought, because before he was sworn in, he had told everyone who cared to listen that he was coming to carry out most of the actions he purported will be carried out after a review. How can you have made up your mind on what to do, yet you say you are setting up panel to review? I wonder what exactly the governor is driving at. Interestingly, his spokesperson was on air this morning trying to undo what the governor purported to have done, because I listened to him this morning and he said it pointedly that they had not sacked anyone, that no one has been sacked, and the anchor of the program put it to him from the statement of the governor that you said the governor said he had nullified the appointment, he has nullified this, he has nullified that, yet you are saying that you have not sacked. So two things: it's either they don't really understand what they want to do, or perhaps because of the public outcry, they are not trying to.
Well, it did say that
the damage control.
You did say that the review panel, I believe that you were making reference to the discussion that happened on a media station in Osogbo earlier today with the spokesperson of the governor.
Yeah.
It did say that the review panel was going to look into the numbers of people that were employed and that whether due process or not were followed for that particular employment. He also made certain allegations that there were issues of backdating of employment even till last year. Don't you think that an incumbent government should look into matters?
We are not saying they should not look into the matter. But what we are saying is that they should be sincere in exactly what they want to do. I recall in October, I was on air with the spokesperson where he claimed that we engaged 12,000 workers. And I challenged him that he should publish the list of those 12,000 workers. To date, they are yet to come up with the list. Apparently, journalists who reported the sack yesterday were making reference to the figure they were banding around.
So how many did the Oyetola government employ?
Well, when we started with, we announced that we're going to engage 2,500 teachers before the election. We started around February or so, and we said that we're going to do them in stages. We started with 1,000, and subsequently we continued with the remaining 1,005. And give and take, I am not sure if you take total of those that were engaged, that they are making noise over. I'm not sure they are up to 2,000. If they are up to 2,000, they may be a little above 2,000.
Oh, so you're saying that the former governor did not employ up to 12,000?
We didn't. The 12,000 figure only existed in the imagination of those banding the figure around. And that was why even yesterday I still challenged them that they should publish, thank God they are in government now. And if they are sincere about what they are doing, by now they should be, taking notes, taking records from government officials that they met on ground.
Let's bring in Honorable Bamdele Salami, who's a member of the House of Reps representing Ede Federal Constituency. He joins us via phone on the news at 10. There seemed to be some discrepancy between the state governor's executive order and what his spokesperson is saying this morning. The spokesperson is saying that the state government has not indeed sacked anyone, but that has now created a panel to look into the process of employment. Can you help shed more light in this regard?
thank you very much. Thank you for having me. The content of the executive order which the governor issued yesterday, specifically in reference to the issue of those who were employed after the July 16th governorship election by the outgoing government. You will recall that immediately the game of employment began by the middle class administration. The governor-elect then did actually, raise some concern about the fact that the government which was existing was apparently, trying to overload the state public service in a manner that was unprecedented, in a manner that was being done in bad faith. Because of the government that was there for 3.5 years by then, and had very minimal number of persons employed into the public service, and then all of a sudden you lose an election, and that is the time that you think you should begin to employ people into various services, and that warning was sounded then that that is not a best practice of administration. If you are winding down an administration, there are certain things that you should, in good conscience, refrain from doing. So if all those things happen in a state that always claims, to be grappling with problems of lack of adequate resources, a new administration definitely has the responsibility to take a look at those recruitments and try to confirm how justifiable they are and how well do they comply with best practices. Were there advertisement placed, for example, a major daily to ask them to apply? Were there processes of interview, assessment of persons to be employed? Were there even actually determined needs of those persons in the place in which they were employed? So these are all the issues, that there is a panel that was inaugurated today by the governor, Ademola Adeleke, to take a look at all those issues surrounding the gain of recruitment, which was done by Governor Adegboyega Oyetola in the twilight of his administration.
All right. I hear you, Honorable Salam. I know that the APC says that the former governor had the mandate of the people till midnight of 26th of November. But what he's saying is the expression of concern that many of these appointments were made after that election. For instance, the approval of appointments of 30 permanent secretaries. You're saying that the employment is not up to 12, that there were just 2,000.
Not to 12,000.
There were also the appointment of several monarchs, including the party chairman in Osun State. How do you reconcile this development within the short time?
All those appointments, you can check the records, most of those appointments began before the election. For example, I've told you about the teachers' recruitment. We set out to recruit 2005. We started with 1,000. It was JAMB who conducted the exercise on our behalf. They went through the stages of interview. And we announced then clearly that we were going to do the employment in stages. Except you are now telling me that as at the time we started the exercise, which was about 4 or 5 months before the election, we knew what the outcome of the election would be. Because each time they say you create problem, it's as if they are telling us that, okay, we knew what the outcome of the election was, and that was why we started all those processes. The appointment of the Akiron, for instance, started about a year ago. In fact, but for some legal encumbrance, the appointment would have been ratified earlier than when it was ratified. So it was when all those legal orders were cleared. That was when the ESCO sat and ratified, the appointment. So there was nothing we did that were abnormal.
Will you take the state governor's spokesperson word for it that, well, they're creating a panel to look into the due process of these appointments?
Well, like I said, I have no quarrel about them looking into it, but they should be clear as to what exactly they want to do, because you cannot say at one breath that, for instance, if you read this inaugural speech, if you read the statement they issued earlier yesterday, what they said was that security operatives should take charge of the palaces of those monarchs. Yet, you are saying you have not sent them away. So if you have not sent them away and you are asking security operatives to take charge, what exactly are you saying?
Honorable Salam, very quickly, let's talk about what seems a collision caused between the new governor and the State House of Assembly, particularly referring to the executive order reversing the state name and slogan. The lawmakers are saying that it's a matter of law and not choice, and they're referring to the State of Osun Anthem, Crest and Flag Law of 2012. They're also saying that the case might even be sub judice given the developments in the courts. What's your party's reaction to this?
Well, let me quickly make a correction. It's also not, correct. I was listening to Mr. Islam on the issue of the traditional rulers. You see, most of these appointment traditional rulers have been shrouded in a lot of controversies and litigations. There were appointments of traditional rulers done, one, during the pendency of a suit. Number two, there's a case, for example, of the RA of Ire, when there is a court, there was an injunction issued by a court of competent jurisdiction against the installation of the person who was installed as the RA of Ire. But you see, I don't want to go into the substance of the matter, but to note the fact that there were so many of these cases which needs to be reviewed and examined, and each will be treated on their merit. The most critical ones that had led to breakdown of law and order, which were reported by the media, the case of Ire, the case of Ikirun, there was a case that involved the life of at least one person. There was a case of arson on the part of the palace, and a few other security breaches. The governor, Ademola Adeleke, swore to an oath of office to do justice to all manner of people, irrespective of whatever, leaning that they have in terms of politics, in terms of religion, in terms of culture, and he is bound by that oath of office. Now, the issue you mentioned about about the House of Assembly, there is no collision whatsoever. You see, we need to also update our record as information managers. The issue of State of Osun and Osun State, there has been a court judgment that had nullified the appellation of Osun and State of Osun, and ordered that by virtue of the provision of the Nigerian Constitution, there is no such thing as State of Osun, but rather Osun State. Now, this was a court judgment that was given by an Osun State High Court in Elisha about 2 years ago, which was never appealed against, or which appeal has not even been heard and determined. So what Governor Adeleke only did was to give effect to the position of the law on that matter. And, there's no case of collision with the House of Assembly. We respect the governor, respect the House of Assembly. He himself was a former lawmaker. He was the Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and there is no way he will undermine that institution. But he has a responsibility to perform as the governor of Osun State. And
the point is taken, Honorable Salam. I'm afraid that's how much time can permit us. I'd like to say a big thank you. Bamdele Salam is a member of the House of Reps at the Federal Constituency who joins us on the news at 10. I also have here in the studio with me Ismail Omokbidon, media aide to the former governor Oyetola. Thank you for talking to us on the news tonight.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.